A millionaire CEO left his wife for model. She came to his wedding in limo with twins. She stepped out of the limo in a soft blue dress, two small hands gripping hers, and the wedding guests froze. "I believe these belong to you," she said, her voice calm, but her eyes set fire to everything he thought he knew. "If someone betrayed you and tried to erase you from their life, would you let them forget, or would you make sure they remember? Let us know in the comments." Rain tapped softly against the kitchen window as Eva Carrington wiped applesauce from her daughter's chin. A second spoon clattered to the floor, and her son let out a wail loud enough to wake the neighbors. Okay, it's a tie," Eva whispered, trying to soothe them both with one hand while her eyes glanced at the time on the cheap wall clock, 7:42 a.m. She hadn't slept more than 4 hours in a week. Her once glamorous world, the charity galas, the weekend getaways in Saint-Tropez, had evaporated the night her husband handed her a note and said, "I'm sorry, Eva. I've changed. This isn't working." And just like that, 5 years of marriage, 2 years of fertility treatment, and one carefully curated life shattered in silence. He didn't even know she was pregnant. She had found out 2 weeks after he left, and pride, the kind that burns deep, kept her from ever calling him. She buried her last name, left the city, and moved into a small townhouse far from the marble hallways of elite circles. But she never forgot. Every diaper, every cough, every time the twins asked, "Do we have a daddy?" The pain simmered, but Eva didn't let it consume her. She let it sharpen her, especially today. Because this morning an invitation arrived. White linen, gold trim. "The pleasure of your company is requested at the wedding of Ethan Carrington and Allegra Monroe." And Eva smiled, not with bitterness, but with something deeper. Resolve. Ethan Carrington adjusted the cufflinks on his custom Armani suit. In the reflection of the full-length mirror, he looked perfect. His jaw was sharp, his smile calm, and his bride-to-be was a model half the tabloids called Heaven in Heels. Behind him, the wedding planner buzzed around the ballroom. Crystal chandeliers, white roses, a grand piano, every detail meticulously designed for social media perfection. But beneath Ethan's polished surface, a flicker of unease remained. It wasn't guilt, not really. He had made his decision years ago. Eva had become boring, obsessed with having children, too emotional, not a good fit for his new life. Allegra, she was exciting, sexy, safe, or so he thought. His best man clapped him on the back. "You ready, man? You're marrying the dream." Ethan smiled. "Yeah, I'm ready." But when he glanced at the double doors, a strange chill ran up his spine, like a storm was about to hit, and he was the only one who didn't have an umbrella. Back at home, Eva gently buckled Lily and Liam into their car seats. They wore matching navy suits with silver bow ties. She wore a calm smile and a dress the exact shade she wore the night Ethan first told her he loved her. She checked her reflection once, not to impress, but to remember who she was before he tried to erase her. The driver opened the door of the limousine. "Where to, ma'am?" he asked. Eva handed him the invitation with quiet grace. "To the wedding of Mr. Carrington," she said, "and please don't take the back entrance." The wedding was already in motion when the limo pulled up to the front entrance of the prestigious Davenport Hotel. Cameras flashed, guests murmured, all in their best satin and designer shoes. The marble steps glistened in the late afternoon sun. But all sound stopped when Eva stepped out. She wasn't loud, she wasn't late. She simply appeared, calm, composed, and devastatingly real. She wore a blue dress, modest but elegant. Her hair was pinned back in a graceful bun. But it wasn't her beauty that froze people mid-step. It was what followed her out of the limo. 2 small children, maybe 3 years old, stepped out with her. A boy and a girl, both with dark hair, sea gray eyes, and the unmistakable bone structure of a Carrington. The valet dropped a set of keys. Somewhere a flute player in the garden paused mid-note. Gasps spread like a ripple in water. "Who is she?" someone whispered. "Wait, is that Eva?" Eva didn't flinch. She adjusted her son's collar and guided the twins up the steps. The coordinator rushed forward, panic and confusion fighting for dominance on her overly powdered face. "Excuse me, ma'am. Guests are already seated. Do you have an invitation?" Eva didn't answer. She just handed the woman a small white envelope and pinned her with a look so calm it was terrifying. "You'll want to make sure Ethan sees me," she said softly. "And these two." The music had changed to soft classical. Allegra, stunning in a couture dress, stood by the floral arch sipping champagne and giggling with her bridesmaids. Ethan stood near the altar, shaking hands, posing for photos. Laughing too easily. That's when the planner came sprinting up, whispering in his ear, pale as paper. "There's someone important, outside, with children." Ethan's brow furrowed. Children? What children? He didn't get to finish the thought, because that's when the doors opened. And there she was. Eva, the last person he expected, the last person he wanted to see. And right beside her were the twins. Gasps turned to stunned silence. Even the music cut out. Ethan's breath caught. His heart punched once in his chest and then froze. He knew. Their eyes, his mother's nose, his own exact expression mirrored in the little boy's furrowed brow. Allegra blinked, confused. "Ethan." But Ethan wasn't looking at her anymore. Eva took a step forward, then another, each one deliberate. No drama, no yelling. She simply walked toward the altar with dignity and said quietly, "I thought you might want to meet your children before you promise yourself to someone new." The room exploded in whispers. Allegra dropped her glass. Ethan's mouth opened, then closed. "Eva, what? How?" "They're three," she replied. "I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks after you left." He swallowed hard. "You never told me." "You never asked," she said with a tilt of her head. "You didn't even look back." In the eyes of the crowd. The guests weren't just watching, they were witnessing. There were no words left to cover the scene. Eva knelt by the twins and gently said, "Say hello to your father, sweetheart." The girl hid behind her dress. The boy simply looked at Ethan and said, "Are you the man who left?" The words hit harder than a slap. Allegra blinked in disbelief. "Ethan, what is this? Are those your kids?" He couldn't lie. Not now. Not with the boy staring up at him like a cracked mirror. "Yes," he whispered, pain seeping through every syllable. Allegra staggered back a step. Her voice cracked. "So, you have children, with her, and you never told me?" Ethan looked down at his shoes, the floor, anything but the truth in front of him. Eva didn't flinch. "Don't worry, I didn't come here for you. I came for them. They deserve to know who their father is, even if he chose someone else." Then, with stunning grace, she took both children by the hand. "And now we'll go." But Ethan stepped forward. "Eva, wait, please." She turned, not angry, not smug, just tired. "I made a mistake," he said, voice shaking. "I didn't know. If I had—" "You would have stayed," she asked, one brow arched. "Stayed out of guilt? Or duty?" He looked at the kids again. I don't know." "Exactly," she whispered. "And I never wanted to be someone's obligation." Silence held the room. No one clapped. No one cheered. It wasn't over. Not yet. But something had been cracked wide open. The man who once thought he held power in walking away was now the one left standing in a room full of flowers and failure. And the woman he discarded. She had come back stronger, with love in each hand. The ceremony never resumed. Within minutes of Eva's quiet exit, guests started trickling out in stunned silence, unsure if it was still a wedding or just the wreckage of one. Allegra vanished first, her heels clicking rapidly down the hallway, her maid of honor struggling to keep up. Ethan stood frozen under the arch of white roses. Not even the champagne could soften the acid rising in his throat. He looked at the empty doorway where Eva had stood just moments before, her children's hands in hers like twin anchors. And he felt it. Regret wasn't a sting. It was a chokehold. In the bridal suite, Allegra slammed the door and collapsed onto a velvet couch. Her makeup was perfect, but her face was cracked wide open. "How long have you known?" she demanded. "I didn't. I swear, you didn't wonder why she never called, never reached out?" "No," Ethan said flatly. "Because when I left, I didn't give her a reason to." The silence that followed that sentence was louder than any scream. "You left her for me," Allegra whispered, her voice trembling. "And now she's here, with your children." Ethan sat on the armrest across from her, his hands buried in his face. "I thought I was doing the right thing," he said. "We were miserable. I wanted more, something different. And you wanted shinier," she snapped. "You wanted less complicated." Allegra looked out the window, at the limo still idling in the drive. Turns out real love doesn't come in glossy packaging. Meanwhile, Eva sat in the park. The twins munched on cookies from a food truck. The late-day sun painted their cheeks gold. A breeze tugged at Eva's hair, but she didn't move. She was still shaking. Inside. But on the outside, she was ice. Ice over fire. She watched her children laugh at the pigeons, their giggles echoing across the lawn, and something inside her twisted. Had she done the right thing? Was that too much? She whispered to herself. Did I hurt them? But she knew the answer. Not telling them, never letting them see the man who gave them life. That would have been the real cruelty. Ethan couldn't sleep that night. He sat alone in the penthouse, surrounded by unopened wedding gifts and roses that now smelled like rot. He held an old photo. Eva in college, laughing beside a birthday cake, icing on her nose. He remembered the way her voice used to break when she talked about her parents. He remembered the miscarriage she never told anyone else about. And he remembered how he left her anyway, thinking love could be upgraded. Now love had come back, with two small faces and no room left for denial. The next morning, he showed up at Eva's apartment. He didn't text first, didn't call, just stood there with a knot in his throat and a bouquet of peonies, her favorite. She opened the door, not surprised, but not thrilled either. "Flowers," she said dryly. "Too bad I already buried the past." The twins peeked from behind her legs. The boy waved, unsure but curious. "I just want to talk," Ethan said softly. She didn't open the door wider. "Talk for what?" "Because last night I looked at them and saw myself," he said. "And I realized leaving you wasn't the biggest mistake I made. Staying gone was." Her eyes flickered. Something in her face wavered for a second. Then she stepped aside. 10 minutes, she said. "But if you lie once, I'm shutting that door forever." He sat across from her. Not on the couch, but on the floor, next to the kids' toys, under their drawings taped to the wall. She sat with folded arms. Still. "Why did you leave?" she asked. He stared at a crayon drawing labeled "Mommy and Me." "I felt like I was drowning," he admitted. "We stopped talking. I thought I was just existing in a life that wasn't mine anymore." "So you ran?" He nodded. "I ran into Allegra. It was easy. She was new. No pain. No baggage." "No real life," Eva said bitterly. He sighed. "I know that now." "You don't get to show up and play savior now," she said. "You don't get to feel guilty and call it love." He flinched. You made a choice, Ethan. You chose you, and I made peace with that. I built a world without you. But they didn't, he said. They didn't get that choice. Silence. You owe them, she said quietly. Not me. Them. Later, after he left. She stood at the window and watched him walk away, this time slower, this time with shame in his steps. Her daughter came to her side and tugged her shirt. Was that the man from yesterday? Eva knelt. Yes, baby. Is he our daddy? Her voice caught. Yes. The little girl looked thoughtful. He looks like Benjamin. Eva smiled faintly. Yes, he does. Will he come back? That question broke her. I don't know, she whispered. 3 days after their doorstep confrontation, a handmade envelope arrived at Ethan's office. It was crayon-colored, bent at the edges. Glitter in the corner. Inside was a child's drawing of 3 smiling stick figures, 2 small, 1 tall, with the words, My birthday is this Saturday. Mommy said you can come, but only if you want to. Lily. The paper trembled in Ethan's hands. He didn't cry. Not yet. He just whispered, She gave me a door. I only did it for Lily, she muttered, folding paper plates in her apartment. Her best friend Yasmin raised a brow. Sure, totally for Lily. Not at all because you needed to see if he'd show. I don't want him here. I want him to try. So when I tell her he never cared, I'll be right. But even she didn't believe that. The tiny backyard of Eva's apartment complex had streamers drooping from the wet breeze, a bounce house slick with drizzle, and a sad piñata that looked like it already gave up. Still, Lily twirled in her pink dress like it was a palace. Her twin, Benjamin, sulked near the gift table, arms crossed. She invited him, he mumbled. She shouldn't have. Eva knelt beside him. She needed to. And what do you need? The boy's eyes were too old for 7. I need to protect her, he said. Then a limo pulled up. Not flashy, not arrogant, just out of place in their modest lot. Ethan stepped out, holding a white box under one arm and a Lego gift bag in the other. His suit was simple, no tie, sleeves rolled up, like he wanted to look smaller than his shame. The rain didn't stop him. He walked through mud in $800 shoes, hair damp, eyes wide. Lily shrieked, You came! She ran into him before he could even speak, wrapped her arms around his waist and buried her face. He didn't look at Eva, not yet. He just whispered, Happy birthday, sweetheart. Eva watched from the porch. She didn't move, didn't smile, didn't even flinch when he made his way toward her with the cake box. I brought it, he said quietly. From Cecilia's. You used to love their lemon raspberry. Eva looked at it, unimpressed. You remembered. I remember everything. Let's just get through today, she said, turning back toward the food table. Then you can go back to forgetting. Ethan was assigned to balloon duty. Every time one popped, Benjamin smirked. When Ethan offered juice boxes, Benjamin shook his head. Why are you even here? Ethan knelt. Because Lily asked me, and because I should have come years ago. You weren't invited then. I know, that's what makes this one matter. Benjamin stared. You made Mommy cry. Ethan's heart twisted. I did. She cried all night, even when she pretended not to. I know. You gonna make her cry again? Ethan looked him in the eye. Not if I can help it. Benjamin said nothing. But when the piñata stick came out, he handed it to Ethan. As the cake was cut, Eva's friend Yasmin whispered in her ear, You're watching him like a storm cloud. Eva gritted her teeth. He's acting like he belongs. Maybe he's trying to earn it. Too late. Yasmin shrugged. Maybe, but your kids don't think so. Across the yard, Ethan helped Lily fix her tiara, while Benjamin grumbled about frosting on his jeans. They looked like a family. For one fleeting second. "Group shot," someone yelled. "Come on, Eva, get in with the kids." And before she could dodge it, Ethan stepped beside her. Lily yanked him in. Benjamin didn't resist. 4 people, 1 picture. Click. The camera captured more than smiles. It caught the tension in Eva's hand, the unsure lean of Ethan's body, the hope in Lily's eyes, the guarded watchfulness in Benjamin's face. It was not a family portrait. It was a maybe. After everyone left, he stayed behind to clean up. "I don't need help," Eva said. "I do." She glanced at him. Ethan was on his knees, scooping soggy paper plates, rain soaking his shirt. "I don't know how to do this," he said. She didn't respond. "I know I missed their first words, their first steps. I know I can't undo it." "Then why try?" she asked, bitter. "Because they're still walking, still talking, and I don't want to miss another second." Eva's eyes welled, but she didn't blink. "It took a child's invitation to make you show up. That says everything." He stood, silent, then turned to go. Before he reached the gate, Benjamin's voice cut through the dusk. "Can you come to my game next week?" Ethan froze, turned. Benjamin shrugged. "We're gonna lose, but I want you there." And with that, the door cracked open, just slightly. It had slipped from Benjamin's backpack. Eva picked it up after the kids had gone to bed. It was sealed in thick cream paper, embossed with a fancy crest. St. Hawthorne Preparatory Academy, admission decision. Her breath caught. She had never applied, couldn't afford to. Inside was a letter congratulating Benjamin on his full academic scholarship, tuition, books, meals. Awarded via anonymous donor. Criteria: single-parent household, exceptional academic promise. Eva sat down slowly. Tears fell, silent and fast. She whispered to the empty room, "What did you do, Ethan?" The next day, Eva sat across from Principal Delaney at the public school. "I didn't authorize the application," she said. Delaney smiled softly. "But someone else did. Your son. Benjamin, he's 7. Smartest 7-year-old I've ever met. Asked for a paper application. Said, 'Mommy won't do it, but I will.'" Eva stared, stunned. Delaney added, "The application fee." A check arrived 3 days later. From E.C. Rhodes Enterprises. That was Ethan's company. He'd known, he'd helped, and said nothing. At the game, Ethan showed up. Again. Jeans, hoodie, baseball cap, a dad uniform. He cheered from the metal bleachers, like a man trying to remember what cheering sounded like. Awkward, too loud, but sincere. Benjamin hit a grounder and made it to second base. Ethan stood and whooped like it was the World Series. And Benjamin smiled, just a little. A quiet walk to the car. Eva caught up with Ethan in the gravel lot. "You paid for the application. I didn't want you to know." "Why?" "Because you tell me not to." He looked at her carefully, the late sun turning her face to gold and fire. "And I didn't want to be the villain anymore." Eva bit the inside of her cheek. "You don't get to rewrite history with a checkbook." "I'm not trying to. I just wanted to give him the life I didn't stick around to build." She crossed her arms. "Why didn't you?" "Because I was weak and scared." Flashback. Ethan's office 3 years ago. The divorce papers were unsigned. His lawyer waited outside. Champagne sat in a silver bucket on the table. Angela's idea. He stared at the ultrasound photo Eva had sent him months ago. Twin heartbeats. The proof of a life they'd once planned. But he didn't call her. Didn't fight. Didn't ask. Instead, he poured champagne and smiled on cue for Angela's camera. "To new beginnings," she'd said. And inside, Ethan had died a little. Ava's truth back in the present. She stood beside him, arms trembling. "I gave birth alone," she said, voice low, "in a county hospital, no epidural, no one holding my hand." Ethan's throat closed. "I screamed for you, cursed your name. I hated you." "I deserved it," he whispered. "You weren't there when they were born, when Ben stopped breathing for 10 seconds, when Lily couldn't latch and I sobbed in the dark for nights." Ethan's voice cracked. "I should have come. But you didn't, and I survived without you." He dropped the facade. Ethan leaned against his car door, sliding down until he sat in the dirt. "I didn't leave you because of Angela," he said. Eva blinked. "What?" "I left because I thought I ruined you." She stared, stunned. "You were always stronger, kinder. I kept thinking, she deserves more than this mess of a man. And when I got the promotion, when they made me CEO, I told myself I'd make something of myself and come back better." Eva's mouth parted, but no words came. "But by the time I realized I was just hiding, you'd already stopped needing me." The letter she never sent Ava went home that night and dug through her old memory box. Buried between diaper coupons and old bills was a wrinkled envelope. No stamp. Inside was a letter, written in sleepless desperation. "You left without asking what I wanted. I didn't want your money. I didn't want your guilt. I just wanted you to hold my hand, to say, 'We'll figure this out.' But you never gave me the chance to try. So now I have to do it without you." She had written it the day she came home from the hospital. She never mailed it. At midnight, her phone buzzed. "Ethan, I know I can't erase the past, but I'd like to be part of the future. Not as your husband. Not yet. But maybe as the dad they deserve." Ava stared at the screen for a long time. She didn't respond, but she didn't delete it either. The shared ride. It started with a flat tire. Eva's car gave up just outside the school parking lot. Lily was sobbing in the back seat from a scraped knee. Benjamin was late for his spelling bee. She had one hand on her phone, the other trying to calm her daughter, and she felt the old panic rising until headlights pulled up. Ethan stepped out. "Need a lift?" She hesitated for half a second, then nodded. They piled in, twins in the back, Eva up front. Her arms crossed tight, his hands locked on the wheel like the past was riding shotgun. At the spelling bee, Benjamin stood alone on the stage. He saw his mom. He saw Lily. Then he saw him. Ethan nodded once, steady, proud, silent. Benjamin's small shoulders straightened. "Perseverance," he said. The auditorium clapped. Eva found herself clapping too, and blinking hard. The kids played on the swings. The sun dipped low. Eva and Ethan sat on a splintered wooden bench, close, but not touching. "You were a good dad today," she said quietly. He gave a soft huff. "I had one decent day." "Start there." He looked at her, surprised. She wasn't being sarcastic. Eva picked at the peeling paint of the bench. "Do you know how many nights I asked God if you'd ever come back?" Ethan said nothing. She added, "Tonight, for the first time, I'm glad you did." That evening, Benjamin sat cross-legged on the living room carpet, sketching superheroes. "Mom?" "Yeah, baby." He looked up, eyes wide and curious. "If Daddy stays, does that mean we get to be a family again?" Eva froze. Ethan, from the armchair, looked up too, face pale, unreadable. Eva went to her knees in front of her son. "Sweetheart, families come in all kinds. What matters is love, and being there, every day." Benjamin looked at Ethan. "Will you be there every day?" Ethan's voice cracked. "I'll try. I really want to." At 2:17 a.m., a scream ripped through the quiet. Eva raced to the twins' room. Lily was tangled in sheets, gasping, tears streaking down her cheeks. Ethan was already there. He cradled her in his arms, whispering a lullaby only Eva knew, one she used to hum in the kitchen, pregnant with them, back when he still lived there. "Sleep, little star, sleep through the dark." Lily clung to his shirt. He didn't flinch at the tears soaking through. Eva stood in the doorway, heart aching. Something shifted, something healed. Not all at once, but it was real. The pancake morning. The next morning, Ethan cooked, badly. He burned one side, flipped one onto the ceiling, and nearly set the syrup bottle on fire. The kids howled with laughter. Eva leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, lips twitching. "You're a hazard," he winked. "But a delicious one." He made her a plate, half-burnt, lopsided, drenched in too much syrup. She ate it anyway, and smiled. Later that afternoon, while the twins played tag under the sun, Eva sat on the grass beside Ethan. "Why did you really choose her?" she asked suddenly. "Angela." Ethan exhaled, long and slow. "She was easy." Eva frowned. "Easy." "She didn't make me feel small or ashamed. She didn't see the scared kid behind the suit." He looked at Eva, face raw. "But she also never saw the man who wanted to be more." Eva nodded slowly. "I saw him." "I know," he said. "That's what terrified me." He looked down at her hand beside his in the grass, not touching, but close. "Would you ever forgive me?" he asked. Eva didn't answer immediately. Instead, she asked, "Would you forgive you?" He went quiet, then nodded once. "That's the first step," she whispered. That night, Ethan tucked the kids into bed. He didn't kiss Eva, didn't ask for anything. He just stood at the door and said, "I'll be back tomorrow." And he was. It started on a rainy Tuesday. Eva was hunting for Benjamin's old vaccination card in the drawer Ethan had started using again. It had become a quiet symbol. His toothbrush now lived beside theirs, his shoes by the door, his phone charger permanently tangled with hers. The house was breathing with his presence again. But as she rummaged through the papers, her hand brushed a thick envelope, yellowed and creased. Her name on the front, in Ethan's handwriting. "Eva, for when I'm gone." She froze. It was dated 4 years ago. The letter, she sat at the kitchen table, trembling, hard in her throat. She read, "Eva, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. I know what you must think, that I'm a coward, a traitor, a selfish man. You're not wrong. But what you don't know is that I never planned to stay. Angela was never the end. She was a placeholder. I wanted to disappear, to end everything. She stopped me from doing that, for a time, but I was already halfway gone when I left you. I'm sorry for everything. If the twins ever ask about me, tell them I was weak, but I loved them. And you, always you, Ethan." Eva read the last line over and over. "I loved you, but I chose to disappear." Her hands were ice, her breathing is uneven. Ethan came home that night holding a bag of takeout and a new soccer ball for Benjamin. He found Eva at the table, the letter beside her. He stopped mid-step. "Eva," he said quietly, "you found it." Her voice was low and brittle. "Were you going to tell me that you left planning never to come back? That Angela was just a stopgap while you considered ending your life?" He put the bag down slowly. "I didn't think it mattered anymore." "It does," she snapped, "because I needed to know who left me, who left us. You let me believe it was about her, about me. You let me carry that weight for years." "I was ashamed," Ethan said. "You don't know what it's like to walk around hating the air you breathe." "I don't," she fired back. "I had to be both parents. I had to lie to my children every birthday when they asked if Daddy forgot." His voice cracked. "I didn't forget. I just didn't think they'd be better off with me. You don't get to decide that, she shouted, tears spilling. You don't get to walk out, write a goodbye letter, and still come back expecting to be a father. In the hallway, tiny feet froze. Benjamin had heard. His voice was soft, frightened. You were gonna die, Daddy. Ethan turned toward the voice. Buddy, you lied to Mommy. You said you'd try, but you were gonna leave us forever. The soccer ball rolled out of Ethan's hand. Benjamin, please. But the boy was already running, down the hallway, slamming his bedroom door behind him. Eva's breaking point. Ethan looked at her, eyes red, face pale. I'm not that man anymore. Maybe not, Eva said. But that man is still inside you, and I can't risk him showing up again. What are you saying? I need space, for me, and the twins. A pause, then. You need to leave. Back to the hotel. Ethan didn't argue. He drove back to the same hotel he once stayed in after the divorce was finalized. Room 118. He lay on the bed, fully clothed, staring at the water-stained ceiling. I had it, he whispered to no one. I had them back. He reached for his phone but didn't text, didn't call. Instead, he did something he hadn't done in years. He cried. Eva's loneliest night. The house was too quiet. The kids were restless. Lily kept asking where Daddy went. Benjamin just stared at the ceiling, his soccer ball untouched. Eva lay in bed, replaying the letter in her mind. One line haunted her. If the twins ever ask about me, tell them. I was weak, but I loved them. She whispered into the dark. That's not enough, Ethan. Not anymore. Hope you are enjoying the story. If yes, have you ever forgiven someone who almost broke you because they were broken too? Tell us in the comments below. Also, was Eva right to push him away again? Or does Ethan deserve one final chance to make it right? Let's continue. A week had passed. The silence between Eva and Ethan was thicker than any argument. Lily asked if Daddy was on a trip again. Benjamin didn't ask at all. And Eva folded laundry like she was building armor, her face calm, but her chest a battlefield. The message that wasn't sent. Ethan had written a dozen texts, typed and deleted. Please let me talk to them. I'll do better. I'll wait as long as it takes. But none of them felt right. So he wrote something he didn't intend to send, just to say it somewhere. I thought disappearing would spare you the pain of loving a man who didn't know how to stay. But I didn't realize leaving would hurt you worse. I'm here. I'm still here. He saved it in drafts and stared at the blinking cursor for hours. Eva's heartache. Late one night, she took down a photo from the hallway wall, the one where Ethan was tossing Benjamin in the air, both of them laughing. She sat on the couch, holding it in her lap, her thumb brushing over Ethan's smiling face. She whispered, "Why did you come back if you weren't ready to stay?" No answer came, just the distant hum of Lily's nightlight and the ache of unfinished love. A talk with Benjamin. She sat beside Benjamin the next morning while he laced up his shoes. You haven't played soccer all week. I don't want to play anymore, he mumbled. Is it because of Daddy? He nodded, then whispered, he said he'd try. Eva knelt in front of him. He did, and then he failed. But sometimes, people fail even when they want to do the right thing. Benjamin looked at her, confused. Then why try again? She thought for a long time. Because if you love someone, and they're trying to love you back, you don't let them fail alone. The ball rolls again. That afternoon, the soccer ball rolled into the hallway. Eva looked up from the kitchen. Benjamin was in the yard again, kicking lightly. She texted Ethan a single line. 3 p.m. tomorrow. Our backyard. Benjamin has something to show you. Just come alone. She hit send, No emoji, no signature. But Ethan's reply came in 5 seconds. I'll be there. 3 p.m. Ethan arrived wearing the same hoodie he wore to his kid's first soccer game. He brought nothing but a hopeful heart. He saw Benjamin in the grass, the ball at his feet. No words, just a soft, silent gesture. He tapped the ball toward Ethan. Ethan's throat tightened. He stepped forward, returned it with a gentle pass, then another, and another. The language they once shared, the language of trust, returned in small kicks and soft steps. Lily clapped from the patio. Go, Daddy! Eva stayed in the doorway, watching, waiting. The conversation that mattered later, as the twins ran inside for lemonade, Ethan stood quietly near the porch steps. You didn't have to let me come, he said. Eva replied, I didn't do it for you. I did it for them. But she hesitated. I also did it because I needed to see if you'd show up. He nodded, eyes heavy with gratitude. I'll keep showing up, Eva, even if it takes the rest of my life. She looked at him for a long beat, then asked gently, What made you come back in the first place? He took a breath. It wasn't the wedding, or Angela, or guilt. It was when Benjamin called me Daddy at the altar, like he was still holding out hope I'd live up to the word. Ava's voice cracked. They still believe in you, even after everything. And you? He asked. She didn't answer, but she didn't walk away either. The door remains open. That night, as Ethan left the house, Eva didn't say goodbye. She said, Same time tomorrow. Ethan's eyes lit up. Yeah, same time. She smiled, just a little, then closed the door, not with finality, but with a sliver left open. Before we go further, have you ever seen someone finally try when it was almost too late? Do second chances have an expiration date? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Someone out there may need to read your story. Now back to our story, 1 month later. The backyard was full of color again. Chalk drawings, toy trucks, and laughter. But today, something felt different. Ethan stood on the freshly cut grass, fidgeting with a blue silk tie. He looked over at Benjamin and Lily, both dressed in soft white outfits. They were giggling, holding a folded piece of paper each. Ava stepped out from the back door. No veil, no bouquet, just a simple pale yellow dress. Her hair loosely pinned, eyes calm but alive. She walked toward Ethan, barefoot on the lawn. No guests, no altar. Just them and a second chance. The children's vows. Benjamin stepped forward. I promise to play soccer with you and not get mad when you miss. Lily added, and I promise to always share my snacks, even the good ones. Everyone laughed. Even Ethan wiped a tear. Do you, Daddy, promise not to leave us again? Benjamin asked softly. Ethan knelt, taking both their hands. I promise, and if I ever feel like running again, I'll run to you. Not away, Ava's vow. Then Ava stepped closer, tears already in her eyes. I thought the worst thing that ever happened to me was watching you walk away. But it wasn't. It was realizing how much I still loved you after you did. Today I'm not marrying a CEO or a man with a past. I'm choosing the man who came back for his future. And I vow to stop waiting for perfect and start choosing real every single day. Ethan's vow. Ethan took a shaky breath. I spent my whole life chasing things that filled rooms but emptied my heart. I left the one woman who ever saw me, not for who I was at my best, but for who I was when I was lost. But you never stopped seeing me. So today, I don't bring wealth or promises I'll never mess up again. I just bring this heart, bruised, beaten, but finally yours. They kissed under the open sky, barefoot, surrounded by giggles and soft applause from two tiny witnesses. No cameras, no designer gowns, no headlines, just love, finally standing still long enough to be chosen. Later that night, Eva sat on the porch, watching the twins chase fireflies. Ethan walked out holding 2 mugs of tea. He handed her one. They sat in silence for a while. Then Ethan asked, "Do you think people can really change?" Eva leaned her head against his shoulder. "I don't think they change. I think they remember who they were before the world broke them." Ethan kissed the top of her head. "Then thank you for helping me remember." 3 months later, the world eventually found out. Someone leaked photos of the barefoot vows ceremony on a tabloid blog. But the article didn't focus on the scandal. It focused on the comeback, on the forgiveness, on the family. Ethan declined interviews. Ava didn't read the comments. But one email did make her cry. "I watched your story unfold from a hospital bed, thinking no one ever comes back after that kind of hurt. But he did, and you let him. You reminded me love isn't about the beginning, it's about the return." Ava read it out loud to Ethan, and he simply said, "Let's keep returning to each other, every day." One evening, they stood at the edge of the backyard, watching the kids chase the sprinkler, giggling madly. Eva whispered, "Do you remember the day I showed up to your wedding in that limo?" Ethan smiled. "Do you remember the look on Angela's face?" They both laughed. Then Eva added softly, "I wasn't just showing up to ruin your wedding. I was showing up to remind you that this life, this mess, these twins, was always real." Ethan took her hand. "And this time, I finally showed up too. Have you ever forgiven someone after they truly changed? Or been the one asking for forgiveness? What do second chances mean to you? Tell us below. We read every story. And if this story moved you, wait until you hear what's coming tomorrow. Is it going to be a homeless violinist saves a woman from assault and vanishes? A year later, she walks into a gala and hears him playing on stage. Or, I'm going to marry the first girl who enters the restaurant, said the billionaire. But when the door, just tune in tomorrow. See you soon.